Huntington's disease by Jody Van-handel. Huntington's disease was named in 1872 by George Huntington, giving the name Huntington's disease. Testing for Huntington's disease has been available since 1993. Huntington's is autosomal dominant, which means it only takes one parent to be able to pass the faulty gene down to their child. A parent with Huntington's disease has a 50% chance of getting Huntington's. Huntington's is a genetic disorder on chromosome number 4. A normal copy of the gene will produce Huntington, which is a protein. The faulty gene is larger than it should be and produces a larger form of Huntington. It is believed that some brain cells cannot handle extra Huntington, causing them to shut down. Some scientists at Johns Hopkins found that there is a protein called RISE, which is only found in the part of the brain that controls movement, which is why Huntington's affects the movement of muscles. The organs that can be affected are your brain. That is where the faulty gene is located. But when Huntington's comes into effect, it will affect your throat for a large majority, causing issues with swallowing because you cannot control your throat muscles. It will affect your arms and your leg muscles, and you won't be able to control them, causing uncontrollable movements. It takes effect around ages 35 to 55. The youngest person having Huntington's was 4 years old, and the oldest was around age 85. They will start showing the early signs in the beginning years, and then Huntington's will last for about 10 to 20 years. Huntington's has uncontrollable movements of your muscles, which can lead to difficulty speaking or swallowing, and you will have mental changes. In the early stage, there are lots of mood changes because you don't understand what is really happening to your body. There is a loss of short-term memory, not being able to stay focused, and they start to stumble and have a lot of clumsiness with picking up things. They have slight uncontrollable movements, twitching, tics, and during the early stages is when they usually will go for genetic testing to rule out any other disorders that they may or may not have before ruling a Huntington's. As the disease progresses, the uncontrollable movements will increase. The face and head are largely affected, especially the tongue and throat, which leads to speech and swallowing problems. This can lead to many more problems down the road. If you cannot speak or swallow correct, you can't communicate and you cannot digest your food the right way. Your arms, legs, and torso are also largely affected. They will show fidgety movements, lurching, stumbling, and twitching. They can get very excessive and it may seem aggressive, but you have to remember that they cannot control it. In the end stage, the movements will decrease as the muscles start to stiffen and tighten and they're unable to move anymore. With having Huntington's, it cannot be easy. Not being able to control your own body can make anybody angry. Those with Huntington's disease can go through an array of emotions such as aggression, anger, frustration, stubbornness. But they will also exhibit signs of being antisocial, depressed, a lack of emotion, or moodiness. If you're not able to control your body, you won't feel like being a social person. You're going to see that people are looking at you like you're different, which can lead to depression. But if that one person can understand them throughout the day, especially when they end up going to a long-term care facility, and we understand them and what their needs are, you can see that joy and excitement that they still have when they get to experience something and are understood. For treating Huntington's, it is not curable, but for assisting in uncontrollable movements, trabinazine, clozapam, Adderall, clozapine are all different medications that they use. Clozapine is more for the depression or obsessive behaviors. With Huntington's, you might see someone that will repeatedly do something to try and get what they want across. Prozac, Zoloft are very popular names that most nurses and CNAs and health staff know that they're for like depression and antisocial behaviors. Physical treatment that someone with Huntington's will go through is speech therapy, physical therapy, doctors, and their support systems. Speech therapy will help make sure that what they're eating is able to be swallowed properly to try to and keep an adequate amount of nutrition going through their body. Physical therapy will try to help them control what muscle movement they might have and give them tools to adapt to try to make their life easier. Their doctors can be very helpful with understanding their needs and putting them in the right direction and helping them get the support they need. A support system like family and friends is so important for those with Huntington's. There are some that the family cannot understand and they just don't know how to react, to where that person with Huntington's has an even higher chance for depression because they feel so alone. But those with a good support system, they still see that they are loved no matter what, which can make their day. In the end, there is no cure for Huntington's disease. After the onset of symptoms, there is approximately 10 to 20 years until death. Many die of other causes, though. Illness, which is due to a weak immunity from not being able to swallow an adequate amount of food and provide proper nutrition. Aspiration, again, from swallowing, because if you're not able to swallow correctly and you aspirate, that can cause pneumonia, and there's choking. So it's very important to try to keep a good diet, something that they can eat, and someone that can watch them and take care of them. So as a reminder, symptoms start at age 35 to 55, and they will last for 10 to 20 years. It is autosomal dominant, which means there's a 50% chance of passing it on to your children and a 50% chance that they'll have it. Involuntary muscle movement, they're unable to control their muscle movements, so you have to be understanding when someone does get Huntington's that they're not trying to be rude, they're not trying to fidget, it's something that they cannot control. They will experience lots of mood changes, from being angry to depressed to not doing anything to moving all over the place and not being able to sit still. But most important, they are still a person. Huntington's disease does not define who they are as a person. They are still the same person that you knew from the beginning of their life until the onset of symptoms. It does not change who they are. my references, I was on WebMD, Medical News Today, and Nursing Care of Patients with Central Nervous System Disorders. The end. Thank you for joining me.